the system revolves around folks who have ownership, right? So a focus of mine is to create more owners in the system, because no matter how much money you earn, if you don't own anything, the money's going to flow through you to those who own, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that flow of money has widened the wealth divide, Percy. And it creates a paradigm where you have very wealthy folks and very, very poor people. And ultimately, civil wars happen when that wealth divide grows so much that people start blaming each other for where they are at in life, right?
Gotcha.
And that's where civil wars come about. So we have to have a focus on educating folks on how to build equity, how to build wealth.
Make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab. Go create your move.
This episode is brought to you by Subway. What's good, everybody? It's 99 Miles Per Hour podcast with me, your host, Percy Garner. And we got somebody important today. I'm going to mix it up. Instead of saying somebody special, we got someone important today. But before I get to our guest, I just want to obviously thank Subway and the Fitzgerald family for making this podcast possible. And right now, it's probably going to be too late, but I'm going to mention it. You know, right now you can get a free cookie with a purchase of a foot-long sub right now. So obviously we know Subway cookies is the bomb, so go get you one. But again, thank you, Subway, for making this possible. And obviously we have merch. I have scholarships I'm giving out tonight. And sadly, I'm not giving out the Percy Garner scholarship because no one bought any merch. So make sure you go to store.percygarner.com and purchase some of the merch we got there. I'm going to be adding some soon. I know I always say that, but I will be adding some soon. And yeah, today is this podcast is being recorded on election day. So it's pretty exciting. It's just the primaries, but still important for a lot of people. And I forgot to put my sticker on, but hey, you know, whatever. Here we go. Let's get to our guests. So today, I forgot, like and subscribe. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers. You know, we would love to monetize this channel, and you know, we would love for you to give us a thumbs up. Helps us out, helps us get in the algorithm, helps us get out there to more people. If you like the content, leave a comment, and I'm sure you will want to leave a comment on what we're going to be talking about today. So, without further ado, this gentleman I played college football with at the Ball State University, Indiana. He's doing big things right now, which we'll get to. But this dude was a linebacker and pretty big, strong dude who was pretty intimidating. But we'll find out that he's not just a football player, very intelligent guy, and I'm looking forward to see what he does in his future. He is running for Indiana State Representative, and he was on the ballots today, so we're going to get into that. But without further ado, let's welcome Davyd Jones. How we doing, baby?
Hey, man, glad to be here, Percy. It's good to see your face and your success, and happy to be in addition to the podcast, man. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I had to get you on. I know you was on Ray's, and Ray was on the podcast, and I got to see you speak there, and I thought that was amazing. And then obviously what you're doing now, running for Indiana representative, that's just, I was like, when I saw it on Instagram, I was like, oh snap, let's go. So I got excited, but I wanted to calm down before I called you, play it cool, be like, hey Dave, I want to see if you want to come on the podcast, man. Instead of being like, hey man, I got to have you on the podcast. So yeah, it's good to have you here, man. But obviously we got a lot to talk about, including how we met and and all that fun stuff. But before we get to that, just, being on the ballot for the first time and seeing that, like, what was that experience like?
I smiled, man. I actually took a picture. I never taken a picture in the ballot before. Took a picture, and I smiled. I thought it would be pretty cool. My dad is no longer with us. He died during COVID, and
wow.
He was an advocate in Muncie, Indiana. He was a pastor. We ran a big church there in Muncie, and he was an advocate. I know that he would be quite happy to see, where I'm at right now in life and the impact I'm trying to make in my community and in my state. So a humbling moment to see yourself on the ballot, to cast, vote for yourself, and along with some other good people, man. So this is great. Great experience.
That's what's up.
You will be experiencing it here soon, hopefully, too. Right?
Okay. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But
we need good people in the system, man.
I know. I'm starting to see that. I'm recognizing, especially, you've made it definitely evident that, people, you don't have to be a, politician. You can be someone who wants to make a difference in the community. And obviously is an intelligent person with a background, in sports and working with a team and obviously a degree. But I'm just excited to see what you're doing. We don't know what the future holds for me yet, but it's just, it's exciting, man. And I love to see, people that, especially that I, sweat. I didn't play alongside you. You were on the field. I was watching, but
it worked out for you though, man. It worked out for you.
It did work out. But to see people, shine is amazing. And in Muncie, in case, the viewers don't know, Muncie is where Ball State is, Muncie, Indiana. So that's where, we officially became teammates, friends. And, I guess on the college football subject, I kind of want to just, where do you, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm seeing everything on YouTube. Oh, Lincoln Riley this, Lincoln Riley that. I can't believe, we're messing up, college football and all that. What do you think of the transfer portal and the name, image, likeness? I thought it was going to be all gravy from here on out. But obviously we're humans and nothing's ever going to be gravy. There's going to be something that's always coming up. People love drama. So, but what do you think about, possibly the number one receiver transferring to USC who wasn't even in the transfer portal and all this stuff going on?
It's a mixed feelings, Purse. I mean, if you can reflect on when we grew up, my high school recruiting tape was on VHS, dude. That's how old we are, man. Right. I got to go find that VHS, man. So it's a different world, different environment. If I knew about the portal and the impact and you can actually monetize your personality, who knows what would have happened with me at Ball State, you at Ball State. I don't even know if you might would have left. I don't know. I think it's quite American to allow an individual the right to choose his or her own path. And that takes a lot of risk. So these athletes, coaches do it all the time. These athletes can choose a different pathway in their life and they risk getting hurt, they're working out or not. So I think, it's probably swung pretty far right, maybe, but I think in time, there will be some kind of balance. I mean, right now you mentioned one name.
Yeah, true.
With Lincoln Riley, you mentioned maybe one wide receiver, and there's how many athletes right now are in college football right now?
Oh, a lot, because we had 110 on our team. So.
Yeah, so you're talking about thousands of athletes, right? Hundreds of coaches, and we're trying to highlight one or two individuals as saying the system is bad.
True.
I think it's American to have the flexibility to choose your own career path, but also the good and the bad will come with that, and you have to own that, right? So I don't have any. I mean, my focus is so far different than sports right now, but it's pretty exciting to see Lincoln Riley, bring USC hopefully back to prominence. We're hopeful, but I think weren't people talking about this a couple years ago when Kentucky was getting all these NBA recruits, right?
Yeah.
How'd that work out for Kentucky? Any national championships?
Not lately. It's been a while, right? Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And I think it's just teams, fans of teams that aren't involved or of the team that maybe their best players leaving. I think they're the ones creating the most noise. And like you said, it's definitely American to allow, especially a student, we allow them to leave a school to go to a different school. Why should it be different just because they play football? So
these programs, these universities build stadiums, build alumni networks, get millions of dollars in funding from these athletes performing on the field, right? I see nothing wrong with an athlete monetizing it just like everybody else does.
True.
Everybody else does.
True.
And there's a market, man. it's a market for it. So we're seeing that market play out. USC hasn't even played a game yet. I heard their spring game was okay.
Yeah.
Their defense may not be as good. So we'll see. They should put up a lot of points, but you got to play defense in college football.
Coming from a linebacker. No.
And I'm telling you what, man. I mean, I don't have any data or reference, but I'm pretty sure Alabama was already in this NIL portal before all this stuff happened anyways. So, I mean, nothing comes out of Alabama, man. So
yeah, that's true.
Anyway, man,
yeah,
the cream rises to the top. Good coaching, good organizations always rise to the top. And I've heard Lincoln Riley's put together a stellar coaching staff, a stellar team out there. So it'll be exciting to see what happens over there, and exciting to see players become, men. Hopefully, they have the right support around them. I still haven't seen a Reggie Bush though. So
I know that's what I was going to say. College football was really good when USC was good. So hopefully, not that college football's fallen off, but I just know it was just that was the last time I really watched a lot of college football. Obviously I watched the playoffs, but I used to Reggie's on. Let me see this outrageous video game stuff he's about to pull out.
I have not seen a person that makes you turn on the television screen since him. Deshaun Watson was amazing to see. He ate up one of the best defenses I've ever seen in college football against Alabama twice. But there's been no player since Reggie Bush, a recent time, that's just so exciting to watch.
True. And Vince Young in there too. Them going head to head was crazy. But
Vince Young was good, man. He didn't make you want to watch the television.
True. Like
Reggie Bush did. So.
Yeah, Reggie was on a different level. And my wife, she likes the way Reggie looks too, so that didn't help. But no, man, it's good having you on the show. But obviously, I want to get to, let my audience, learn a little bit more about you. But first, I want to start off quickly about, how we met. And obviously, I wanted you to tell the story because, my audience hears me talk all the time. But obviously, I just want to set the scene. We're both, I don't know, we're juniors or seniors. I can't remember, but
we had to be juniors, man. Juniors in high school.
Yeah. So we're looking and trying to decide on college we want to play football at, and we are on the same visit to Illinois, and take it from there.
Yeah. So there might have been 3 of us, maybe 4 of us on this bus, right?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot. Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 folks on this bus, and I'm from Delaware County, little Muncie, Indiana, and I'm looking around, and in your mind, you're thinking about competition, right? Like you're always thinking about, if you are a competitor, you're always thinking about competition.
Yeah.
So you get on the bus, you say, okay, this guy has to be a lineman, big old farm-looking boy. And I looked over there, and I saw this big old guy. Black guy. It's like, man, it's a big old linebacker. And I play linebacker, so I'm like, man, I am undersized for this. This is no way I'm going to win this. Just like thinking in my head. And, we get out we go in, we change, we get onto the field, and I see this big old monster pick up a football and start throwing it. I'm like, what the heck is this? This guy is huge. Freaking anyway, man. So
shoot.
That was my first experience with you, man. I thought you were the linebacker, gonna take my spot, take my scholarship. And you ended up so part of me was like stunned, like this guy's actually picked the ball and throwing it. And then part of me was like relieved that I ain't not competing against this guy. So.
Well, I mean, little did we know at that time that we'd be going to the same college and all, but I was just worried about they got Juice Williams. I don't know what I'm doing here. I was thinking the same thing you were, just about a different person. So,
hey man, funny story about Juice. So we played against Illinois. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
And this is one of those moments where I believe I was a freshman, and I got in the game. We were freshmen, right, when we played them?
Yeah.
I was a freshman, got in the game as a freshman, and I'm about to make a tackle against Juice Williams, right? I don't know if you know the vision of a linebacker, but you watch the blocking schemes and you kind of read the play and you react to what you read. So I react to a base block and a down block, and I go to fill this hole. It's only me and Juice, man, just me and Juice. I go to form tackle this guy. He planted his right foot, and just the next thing I realize is I'm doing this, and he's like 5 yards behind me. Juke the mess. That guy was so good, dude.
So talented, man. He was exciting to watch. Dang, I just know he was. I assumed he was smaller just because how fast he was, and then we were there. I met him. I was like, dang, this dude is jacked. but no, those stories you can't replace. And I'm glad you're able to share those with us. And it's just funny hearing how other people and how their athletes think, because I know how I was thinking at that time. But no, man, I kind of want to learn more about, because we have similar backgrounds, but you being from Indiana and Ohio, similar. Ohio's better at football, Indiana's better at basketball. No, but just tell me a little bit about how you grew up, your parents, your support system, your community, and how they poured into you, or just tell us about it.
Yeah, man, grew up a single mother. Went to the church where my dad did pastor a church. Had an interesting family dynamic to where I had another man in my life who was a mentor that my mother was married to, and he taught me work ethic, landscaping. So I remember as a young kid, man, waking up in the back of a dump truck going to go cut lawns and do some landscaping. That's actually how I met Coach Hoke. Coach Hoke was landscaping. One of his neighbors was the home that we actually landscaped for quite some time.
Really?
So I met Coach Hoke and developed a good relationship. Coach Hoke was our former Boston head football coach.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, a lot of working. I grew up in the church. I was a church boy. Every Saturday I would go into the sanctuary, clean sanctuary, make these perfect lines with the sweeper on the pulpit. Grew up in a very interesting background. We call them underengaged communities. Basically, the home I grew up in about 6 years ago sold for like $500. So, gunshots. If you can envision, what did Tupac say? He said something in the phrase of "hell can't be worse than this." So, so grew up in a very interesting background, man. Crazy environment. Poverty was poverty, but you didn't really know it was poverty because you lived in it. But as you grew up and you became more aware of the system and just life in general, like, holy cow, man, I grew up where gunshots was like normal, man.
Yeah.
Seeing drug addicts walk up to you, a little kid asking for money, hookers, prostitutes. Very, very interesting background. But my mother did a great job at shielding us away from the environment that we actually grew up in. She kept us in the church quite often. She worked in a church, so we were always be there. Which really worked out. Private education as a younger kid and graduated in public education. So I had a good mixture of both, a good perspective of both. But yeah, man, I worked all the time, went to church all the time, and grew up with my mother, a single mother, and two other brothers.
That's amazing, man. The one thing I do want to ask, did you work and play sports? So did you play all sports, or did you only play like a couple?
Yeah, growing up, Percy, I was basketball was my first love, man. Like, growing up, this is Michael Jordan's time. So you used to shave your head bald. I was only black kid in my Catholic school, so all the girls thought I was Michael Jordan kind of thing, right? So yeah, man, basketball was my first love, man. I did a little bit of baseball, but most times people found me out in the outfield doing cartwheels and stuff, not actually playing the game. So playing Karate Kid in the outfield, man, as a young kid. But football, it was like it's a God calling, man. I mean, you can't refute what you're just good at, right?
Yeah. Like
when you stepped on that mound, life couldn't refute that you were just a really good pitcher. And in football, I mean, when you gave me the ball and Pop Warner, and I just ran over everybody and I tackled everybody.
I can't imagine you and Pop Warner, man, because I've only seen you as this, full-grown strong man that looked like he can just hurt the ball carrier. So I wouldn't want to picture you with Pop Warner.
Hey, man, I had a great time. Made a lot of good relationships, and so basketball was probably my first love, but I was really good at football. and I allow football to help shape out my future, man. So
yeah. Well, I played all three sports, and I continue to do that, even though I wasn't that great at basketball, just so I didn't have to get a job. So I just was asking. I was trying to, I thought you was going to help prove my point, but or actually make my point worse.
Man. So when as a young kid, we did landscape with my dad, but you talking about slave labor, bro. He didn't pay us nothing to help him. He didn't pay us nothing, man. I worked, cut down trees. I did a lot of, landscaping work as a young kid, mow lawns, weed eat, all that fun stuff. But once sports came about, more so in the high school era, I didn't really work at all. I worked my senior year just because I didn't play basketball that year. I just played football and was bored, got a job, wanted a discounted finish line, so I worked at Finish Line, get some shoes.
I'm guilty of that too.
Sold a ton of shoes to a ton of women, if you can get the picture. But no, I didn't work much, man. I worked in the summer, during the summer between high school and college. I worked at Tire Barn.
Okay.
I didn't work. I just moved cars. I didn't change one tire. I just moved the cars, man, and picked up a check.
Gotcha. That's what's up. Hey, but not a lot of people like me had a job, so I didn't get my. I worked some jobs where I got paid under the table, but no, I didn't. My first check was my signing bonus when I got drafted for baseball. So, and then that's when I learned that taxes were a thing.
What was your signing bonus, Percy?
My signing bonus was $470,000 and $700.
Your first real life work experience check was almost $500,000. Most people don't make that in 10 years. And your first gig out of, wow, that's crazy.
Yep, 21. And I couldn't refresh my bank account online quick enough. I was just like, come on, when's it appear?
Wow.
But
yeah, hopefully we can talk about that, man. That is wild.
Yeah, I mean that was it was pretty crazy. But before we can talk about that a little bit, because that kind of feeds into what your current occupation is, working in finances and helping people, build wealth. I might have needed someone like that back when I was 21. But how'd you kind of get into what you're doing now, and kind of before you decided to, hey, you know what, I want to be a public servant and work for the people of my area and my state and make a difference?
So I try out at a few teams in the NFL, and I don't know if you know a guy named Kenny Meeks. He was a teammate of ours. Kenny Meeks. Kenny worked for a company called First Investors, and he grew up in Muncie too. Went to Muncie Central. He was like a god to me, a mentor to me. So we had talked, and he knew my work ethic. He says, "Look, man, if the NFL doesn't work out for you, what I'm doing right now, helping serve people, which you have a harder service, you can do a good job for folks, serving the community, and helping folks retire through the state of Indiana." So I got started because of a friend of mine told me about this gig where you can actually help serve your community and make over six figures doing so. Right now, the six figures was you have to build a book of business to generate, $100,000 a year. People don't understand how much money that is, and how much work, how much input it takes to generate $20, let alone a lot more of those. So Kenny Meeks introduced me to the business, helping teachers retire, setting up their 403Bs, helping them retire through the state of Indiana, and selling a ton of life insurance. And it's been a progression ever since then.
That's what's up, Kenny Meeks, man. I have to reach out to him. I remember him, because he was defensive outside linebacker.
Yeah, man, he's he has three boys now. All three of them will be playing professional something. Kenny, he won't tell you, but I'm going to tell you, he had opportunity, man, to play in the NFL, and I still don't know why he didn't do it.
Really?
Or at least try out. Yeah, me and Kenny we stayed pretty close over the years. I was talking to him yesterday.
That's what's up. I love to hear that.
He works for the same company I work with. So
Oh,
we both
okay.
work at Edward Jones Investments. And funny story, he brought me on at First Investors, and then I brought him on at Edward Jones. So it's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool.
Hey, returning the favor. I like it. That's awesome to hear, man. Now, obviously, how long have you been doing that since what, 2011 or 12?
12, man. It's all I did. So my senior year, so I came back to college, finished like an hour of school, and graduated in 2012. And that February of 2012, I accepted a job to work at First Investors. So I was studying for my 63 when I was still in college.
Oh, okay. Like it. Yeah, I took the Series 6, but I did it without studying because I knew I had 2 chances, and I missed it by 2 questions, man.
I'll do that to you, man.
I know. I was like, but then I never went back and took it the second time. But,
You better go back.
yeah, I know. But yeah, so I think it's something that I would say not only our community, just people in general, whether you come from a lot of money or not. I feel like most people are not, educated and they just don't do smart things with their money. And I had, announcer for the Indians, Guardians, Tom Hamilton, his son, on talking about, because I think he works directly with athletes and help them not, throw away their money. But I just think it's admirable that, that you went into that business and, try to help people, because a lot of people need help. So, but now we're at this point where, you're taking another step in your career. And, I'm kind of curious about, obviously being election day when we're recording this, and you talked about, being on the ballot for the first time, but like, how did this come about where you were like, look, you know what? I feel like I can make a difference. I really want to do this. And I really want to run for public office and go for that way. And like, I know there was someone had to encourage you, right?
Of course, man. So getting started in this business, they don't tell you, you got to build this business, right? So I grew up in a world where, no one talked about entrepreneurship. No one talked about, we all hustled, right? But we didn't know that you can turn that hustle into a business, right? So we don't have to hustle anymore, right? So when I got started in the business, Percy, I almost fell in this business because whenever you start a business, the immediate thing they tell you to do or train you to do is go to your immediate network of friends and family and, build it around them, or at least allow them to help you get started, right?
Yeah.
I did that, and my immediate network of friends, there was no there to build a successful business with, right? So you go to the community that helped raise you, that educated you, that gave you the foundation that you still standing on today. But financially, there was not enough there. And I'm talking about, some people think like $1 million is a lot of money to build a wealth management business, right? It's not, right? So if you think, I make roughly 60 basis points, so 0.6% off of every dollar that I manage. So with $1 million under management, you're not making no money, Percy, right? So you need lots of millions of dollars to have a business to where you can pay your bills, support your family, and have a flexible lifestyle where you're still impacting people's lives. So I almost fell in the business, and what I realized is that people had high income, so they earned a lot of income, but there was no equity, no wealth in the community, right? So I realized the tools that I had at my disposal to help build a community or help a family reach their goals, those tools were not adequate for the community that I wanted to actually serve, that I care a lot about, right? To help shape me and mold me to the man that I am. So I went down this learning curve, this learning hole of figuring out what tools do I need to acquire to positively and effectively impact the community. And that led me, to get my master's in financial economics. It led me down understanding the flow of money, the treasury, our monetary system. And then all that information and knowledge led me to politics and understanding how you can influence outcomes in communities with the right political leaders and right legislation. So I started getting more engaged in politics, learning about my legislators, taking them out for dinner, taking them out for lunch, coffee, going to meetings with them. And then as my business grew to have a lot more business owners in it, right? So I spent time with my business owner clients, and they became friends, and I learned what they did, and I understand their thought process and their philosophy on life and their struggles. And their struggles were either the same as mine or worse, right? Maybe they didn't have gunshots going off, but their mother or dad was a drug addict, beat them all the time. Their living environments weren't even better than mine, and they still figured out a way to make it in life. You can look at a millionaire's hands, and he had callus in his hands, right, from all the work he had to do growing up, right? So I learned more about the system, and along the way, some folks had approached me about running for office. I'm pretty engaged in my community. I'm on a lot of foundations and boards and committees in the community, and I think all that has prepared me to step into a different role in service and serving my community. And I really, it's almost like a godsend kind of thing, Percy, where the stars align to where, look, this is what God has you doing this next stage of your journey. I moved into my district not knowing that it was going to be a redistrict district, right? So I didn't have any aspirations to run for House of Representatives. So it's kind of like the stars align, Percy, to have a continuum of service. And hopefully, with my perspective, I have a diverse background in helping all kinds of people. And you can sit down with a very wealthy person. And most wealthy people, depending on their business, they know their business, right? Mm-hmm. But they don't own any stocks. They don't own any bonds, right? Yep. They don't own any private equity. They know their business, and that's how they make all their money, right? So that's a financial literacy education. So that's a very wealthy person. I met a guy who's worth $30 million. He never heard of a municipal bond before. Wow! So a municipal bond is an instrument, a debt instrument that communities use to raise money in the community. So if you're a school, a hospital, whatever you can think of, the state, if they're raising capital to build new roads, new hospitals, new schools. They do that by adding debt to the books. Yeah. And as a benefit to you investing in loaning the community your savings, in return, you get to receive all that income from that bond instrument tax-free, right? Federal, state, local, tax-free. This man who's a millionaire who would benefit from not paying tax on income didn't know anything about it, right? So that's very wealthy, all the way to the families who are just getting started out investing, Percy. So
true. That's what's up.
Just kind of worked out for me, man.
Well, I'm glad it did. And I'm, I look at you and like I said earlier, someone that, obviously we did a lot of hard work with, a lot of 5:30, 6 a.m.s, work with, sweat. I almost cried a couple times. That's how hard the workouts was. but it's just good to see you, doing things that you enjoy and they're making an impact in your community. That's the thing that's funny to me is because when you're in college and you're at study tables and you're just thinking about, I got football practice tomorrow, I got homework, I got an exam, Coach IL is about to be outside the door, making sure I get in there about time so I don't have to, work out in the morning. You don't really look down the road and see, okay, this is shaping me for this. This is shaping me for that. I'm going to benefit from going through all these, hardships or these, this adversity, and it's going to turn to me what I am today. Obviously, we're, as you said earlier, we old now. We see, we're benefactors of all that. And a lot of people like Coach Hoke and all our coaches and rest in peace, Coach Parrish, what they did, they poured into us, like you said. And at the time you didn't want to hear it. Man, come on now, quit yelling, you crazy, all that stuff. You don't know what you're talking about. Obviously we now know, that there was a method to their madness. And, obviously we're both paying off from that. And then, I'm looking forward to, November hearing, you being elected to office, man. That's going to be amazing. But before we get out of here, I do something with certain people, and then, I don't have a name. It's kind of a working title. Josh is like, oh crap, we doing this. We do something, because this is the 99 miles per hour podcast. But, I try to do these questions. They're supposed to be fast, but we'll see. I got this idea from one of my old jobs. Where you get thrown into the hot seat and you got to answer these questions pretty fast. All right, so. Okay. We're not going to have a timer. We're not going to have a buzzer or anything. We're just going to trust you with this responsibility.
Let's do it.
It's called the Fast 9.
Okay.
It might not even be 9 questions, but let's do it. All right, here we go. Fast 9 with Davyd Jones and Percy Gardner.
Bro.
All right. Favorite car?
Porsche.
Nice. Okay. If you were, this is awful. If you're going to electric chair, what is the last meal you want to eat?
Electric chair? I ain't going to an electric chair, man. Next question. I ain't going.
Okay. If you could have, if living or pass away, if you want to have dinner with anybody in the world, who would it be?
Ooh, living or passed away? Maybe Condoleezza Rice.
Ooh, okay. Like it. Favorite athlete of all time?
Jackie Robinson.
I like it. I don't think we've ever had the answer before. I like it. Best advice you ever received?
I'm going to answer that in 2 ways.
Okay.
Because it's not someone saying it. It's more what I've learned. So there's 2 books that kind of help shape my thought process. And this Jonathan Livingston Seagull is one of them. And then The Alchemist.
Ooh, like it.
But those 2 books kind of instilled in me is just living out your personal journey and becoming a better version of yourself along that journey, right? So if you think about life and sports, if you're competitive, and sometimes people kind of get complacent, or they get tired, or they reach a certain level that for them, there's no reason to keep going. But life is different mountaintops, and the air quality at each mountaintop changes, which forces you to either adapt or get through it. And so I look at myself as living a continuum. I love the title. I haven't read it. The title of the book by Michelle Obama, Becoming. I'm continuing to become a better version of myself every day. And then, there's a quote by Muhammad Ali: service to others is the rent you pay for your time here on earth.
I like it. Okay. If you could see 2 people fight, who would it be?
2 people fight? Oh, wow. I guess politically, I like to see Nancy Pelosi and no, not Nancy Pelosi. I don't know.
I thought about this because I saw Trevor Noah talking about this, and he said that'd be great to add to these debates when people are running for primaries. They just fight.
I think I heard that one. Yeah,
but
maybe Nancy Pelosi and Senator McConnell. I don't know, just because they're both old and they've been in it for a long time. Everybody hates one of them. So
very polarizing. So people would pay to watch that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
I love hibachi fried rice, man. Hibachi chicken fried rice is kind of like my go-to.
You got me wanting to eat it now.
You can't go get some awards, man.
I know. I gotta pass out awards. I'm like, hey, y'all, hold on. I gotta go to hibachi.
That are a really good fillet. It's hard to come around in a really good fillet, but we have a good farm here in Fort Wayne, and they have some really good Wagyu beef, and either really good fillet or hibachi chicken fried rice.
Okay. All right, we're going to do last question. I lost count, but last question. Favorite actor or actress?
Either Bernie Mac. I know he's not really considered an actor.
I mean, he did, so we'll give it to you.
Bernie Mac, I would say Jamie Foxx is probably the best entertainer of all time. because he can do everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, act. But probably Bernie Mac or Robin Williams.
Ooh, Robin Williams. Okay. I like that. Rest in peace.
Not because, for they're both dead.
Yeah, true.
I feel like they both died when we were in either spring practice or summer camp.
Yeah.
But those are like two of my favorite actors.
Two greats, two all-time greats.
Not that they're the best, because obviously there are those who are better than those, but those are the ones I enjoyed watching the most.
That's what's up. I like those answers. You got me some different ones too, and I like that stand-up desk too. I need one of those at work, but working at not-for-profit, you can't ask for much. So, but anyway,
you better turn it into an A4 profit.
I know.
You better figure it out.
I know I need to figure it out. But Dave, man, thank you. We're gonna have to have you back on here because we can talk about my money mishaps in my experience receiving that amount of money at a young age and going to Tampa International Mall and having some fun.
Yeah, you're not alone. It's the thing that that's frustrating is first, they don't educate folks on financial literacy. I didn't know about a stock until I until I was like senior in college or something. So it's hard to blame yourself or others who have a lot of income when they're not taught about how to build equity and the importance of building equity. The system revolves around folks who have ownership, right? So a focus of mine is to create more owners in the system, because no matter how much money you earn, if you don't own anything, the money's going to flow through you to those who own, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that flow of money has widened the wealth divide, Percy. And it creates a paradigm where you have very wealthy folks and very, very poor people. And ultimately, civil wars happen when that wealth divide grows so much that people start blaming each other for where they are at in life, right?
Gotcha.
And that's what civil wars come about. So we have to have a focus on educating folks on how to build equity, how to build wealth. Because if not, the wealth divide will continue on. And an example of that is during COVID, the government sent direct payments to everybody in the country, right? Yeah. But very few people owned anything, right? So they might have paid their debts off or took a vacation maybe or whatever, but their equity, their net worth did not increase.
True.
Because they didn't own anything. But those who did own things made out pretty well in that system. So.
See, that's why we got to have you back, man. I think it's important that I would love for people to learn early on. I'm trying to instill in my kids as much as I can all the mistakes I made and all the lessons that I've learned. Because I did have people trying to tell me, but we need to beat it in there because a lot of times we're know-it-alls, and as teenagers, we're not always ready to listen. We're not in position to listen. So
you're not, man. Life does that to you first. It's almost like our faith. You can't beat a relationship with God into people. They have to experience it. They have to go through life and experience it. And sometimes in life, you can't beat certain things and principles into people. You just got to show them the way. And at some point, your kids will see what you're doing, consistently. So if you're consistent, you're kissing your wife, you're telling her you love her, you're showing her you love her, then your daughter is going to know what a good man is over time, right? Because she's seen it, right? True. Your son is going to know how to treat a woman because he's seen it.
True.
I think the same principles come to building wealth. If they see their dad buying businesses, investing into real estate, or just saving in general and investing, if they come to you to your meetings with your financial planner, or are you meeting with your wife on a weekly or monthly basis about your finances, and they're part of that discussion, then it kind of becomes natural to them. You don't have to really teach them anything. They kind of grew up in it. So
yeah, he's already got an account. We're already stowing money, saving it, and he's about to
have him do it. Have him. So I was with a meeting the other day with an auctioneer, and so he sells high-end cars. There was a Ferrari in there, some old vehicle worth a couple $100,000, I think $150,000. The point is, he helped his daughter acquire her first vehicle to sell. It was a small little moped, right?
Okay.
She had to take $250 out of her savings to become a co-partner with him on this investment in this deal, right? And she's only 9, right? So, I don't know, just make them be a part of it.
Yeah, true, and not just do it for them. You know, they got to.
They're picking the stocks. They're picking out the house or the piece of land, or the watch, because watches are a good investment. Whatever it is, the painting. You know, they're part of that, and it will build muscle memory, just like sports. Sports, that muscle memory it taught us, man, perseverance. I can do this kind of attitude. That's why typically sports folks, highly competitive people, do well in building a business or just in business in general.
That's what's up, man. Did you catch any of that, Josh? No. Again, man, we appreciate you. Good luck moving forward. You know, I'm looking forward to hearing the results in November, like I said. And, man, I appreciate having you on the show. Make sure I'll put, you know, your social media and stuff in the description. You know, you viewers, make sure you click on that, go follow him, and see how this election goes for Big Dave Jones. But I appreciate you again, man. Hope everything goes well for you, and I hope you continue to make an impact on people's lives like you did today. And make sure you guys like, subscribe again. And I want to say thank you to Subway for making this podcast possible again. And yeah, man, hopefully we can get together and do some golf outings, Dave, not you, Josh.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good.
You golf?
Hey, Percy, I do golf.
Hey.
Got my clubs over here.
All right.
The system needs good people, right? So think about it. And hopefully you enter into the circus, right? You become a politician as well. But the system itself needs good people. And when good people don't show up and become part of the system, evil, bad things fill that void all the time. So think about it, man.
Well said, Dave. I appreciate it. And you'll find out. No. But yeah, man, go enjoy yourself. Get back to your busy schedule. And like I said, thank you for being on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next Tuesday. Peace.
It feels like Casablanca. Shouting you my little mama. I got a crib out of water. Say me Casa Sucasa. It feels like Casablanca. Shouting you my little mama. She be on that Henny. I like that Corona.